Yeah. Douglas. Yes. Down there.
Down here.
All
All the
right.
way
All right. You have this group of writers here who want to learn how to do it themselves. You know, they're motivated by the therapist. They have the access to the reporter. All right. They know when they get big, they can go to Henri. What are they going to do now? What does the web offer them?
Well, first of all, I want to tell everyone that everyone in this room has the ability to use the tools that are available today. None of you are stupid. None of you are incapable of using the technology. We've been led to believe over the years that technology is hard. It is not hard. It can be confusing. It can be a little crazy sometimes, but it's not difficult. And each day, it's gotten easier and easier and easier. Nike had it right. When it comes to promoting yourself, just do it. My biggest issue in talking with people about using these new technological tools is getting started. And one of the biggest problems in getting started is letting perfection get in the way of good enough. Okay? Your goal is to start. I don't care if it's a scribbled piece of paper held up to an iPhone, snapped a picture, and put on a blog somewhere. Get started. Because I see people just spin their wheels over and over, waiting for that perfect website, that perfect. Don't. Do it today, because every day you're not doing it, and I know this is going to sound really blunt, but if you're standing still, people are going by you. Okay, you cannot stand still today. You've got to be moving forward. Part of my job is to be a cheerleader for people and to convince them they have something interesting to say. Why? I'm not real sure, because we should all realize that if we don't have something interesting to say about ourselves or our work, we've got much larger problems than just getting on the web, okay? Everyone's got something interested. Everyone has a piece of information that somebody else wants. That's what I call an expert. In fact, people say, well, you're an expert in this, or you're an expert in that. I said, no, an expert is someone who has one more experience or one more piece of information than someone else out there. Because there's someone out there who wants it. Now, remember, I made the comment before, you don't know who your audience is. It's not your concern. Your concern is to put stuff out there so that people can stumble across it. Because you don't know where that next job, that next article, that next promotional possibility is coming from. Your job is to simply get the information out there and let the people who want to know about it find it. Okay?
So how, without getting too technical,
I have prescriptions.
How would you I know you could get very technical. How would you suggest we begin? And I agree, get perfection off your back.
I literally, with some people, because I can see people lock up when I start talking to them. I mean, I'll get, you need to do this, and they're like, huh? So I started doing what's called a prescription. Go back to the medical analogy here. Literally a series of like 3 or 4 steps to get them going, because I find that once you get them going on one thing, things tend to follow after that. First thing you need to do is you need to have a blog. And by that I don't mean a website of your own necessarily. You need to have a blog, and a blog specifically, not a website, although a blog can be part of a website or be the main part of a website. You need a blog so you have a place for your stuff. Everybody remember George Carlin? You got to have a place for your stuff. The interesting thing about having a place for your stuff is once you have a place to put stuff, you'll suddenly start to find all these things that are worth putting there. Oh, geez, there's that picture I took on the set. Oh, you know, there's that picture of that writer's retreat. There's that recording of that panel discussion I did. Once you have somewhere to put that, you suddenly start to see just how much information, how much content you have to share with other people. And sharing is an important part of what you're doing. You're not selling hard. You're simply telling people what you do and how well you do it. Okay? So get a blog. WordPress.com, Blogger.com, there's many others, Tumblr.
When we go into the private sessions, he can show you.
Well, and they're listed on their handout.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, but if you wanted to show them on the computer, you can show them on the computer.
Prescription number 2. And Cameron, I think, talked about it.
His own newspaper column?
Facebook.
Facebook.
Get on Facebook. Now, there's interesting things. You want to get on Facebook, the first people you want to connect with are those you already know, okay? The next thing you want to do is to create a Facebook page, okay? Your Facebook profile, your account is for you personally, you and your friends. If you have a public-facing entity, which in most cases you do, that is your writing career, you want to create a Facebook page so that you're not opening up your whole personal life to everyone who might be interested in you publicly. Does that make sense? And again, in the breakouts, we can talk a little bit about that, but I'm sure you've heard the term about Facebook pages. Cameron's book has a Facebook page, okay? It's this public-facing
Mr. Doug,
part of Facebook.
one of the worst things on Facebook is I'm at lunch now. How do you reconcile all that as tooting or not tooting, or what's your reaction to it, or who cares?
The fact is, there is someone out there, and it comes down to that audience thing. There is an audience for it. Now, what I'm saying is when people click like on your Facebook page, when they follow you on Twitter, when they subscribe to your blog, they're giving their permission for you to come into their lives on a regular basis. Be careful with that. Respect that. Have something interesting to say, okay? It's rare that I will ever tweet, I'm having lunch now. Now, that said, I may do a check-in that says, I'm at this restaurant having this great dish, specifically with these people.
Right.
That is a step of sharing much higher and more interesting to most people. The fact is, you don't want to seem banal, like I just had lunch. And unfortunately, people who usually come to me and say that, well, I don't want to get on Twitter. All it is my people having lunch or walking their dog. The fact is, if that's the only thing they know about Twitter, they actually don't know anything about Twitter.
We've learned about Twitter these past few weeks. Yeah. How many people in this room have a Facebook page?
Ah, bingo, work it.
How many people have a Twitter account? Mm-hmm. Very good.
After you do, well, the third one is Twitter. Mm-hmm. And Twitter works for some people, it doesn't work for other people, and it's okay. Some services are better for you than others. Just through my usage of the technology, I have found that Twitter is kind of my home base. I tend to live on my phone, I tend to live out and about. And so it is my home base. When I Twitter something, it goes to Facebook, it goes to these other places. You may find that your Facebook page is your really, social media home base, okay? You may not find every service works great for you, and that's okay. What I do is, since I'm on Twitter most of the time, if someone wants to interact with me on Facebook, I have the email notices set up, so if someone leaves a comment, someone leaves a message, I get an email and says, hey, someone over there wants to talk to you. Okay, and I'll go over there and I'll converse with them on the site that they're most comfortable on, okay? So it's okay to pick something that's kind of your main home base, but there's all these ways of being notified when other people want to talk to you on other services. Well, just to go back to what you said about the whole recent situation with Twitter, I have a common phrase I come back to when anyone brings stuff like that up. Just because someone uses Twitter for something stupid doesn't mean you can't use it for something good, okay? People will do stupid things whether they're standing on the street corner or whether they're on Twitter, so be aware of that. Yes, to go back with something Rebecca said, the term I come back to is sharing. You're sharing what you know. You're helping other people. I've found, even in my computer consulting work, I can't give too much away. That's sometimes a fear that people have. Oh, I gave too much away. I can help someone with a problem they may be having on their computer or on their blog. I'll get to the second or third step and it's like, oh, just come fix it. Those people don't have the technological mind bent that I have. So in sharing, what you're doing is you're building these relationships. Oh goodness, the other night, Time Warner has been having major outages.
Mm-hmm.
I start to see things flow into, oh, yep, I'm out too. Well, I know of a way, there's a particular problem they're having that can be fixed by doing something on your computer. And so I see people complaining about it, and long before the Time Warner Twitter account talks to them, I say, do this. And I'll run a series of those, and those will start getting retweeted, and people will pass it on to their friends, and their friends, and their friends, and their friends. And all of a sudden, I've got, bundles of these Twitters coming back to me saying, oh my God, that worked, thanks, So that's exactly the type of thing you can do.
Do you teach them how to avoid paying for cable?
Oh boy, no, unfortunately not. So that's one example of my own personal, life in that regard. I will say to Cameron, I think Twitter, there are conversations that go on Twitter. I one of the best things about Twitter that I like is I can talk to people all over the world, and there's this little handoff between the US, the West Coast, and the UK. We're going to bed and they're waking up, and almost every night I have this little conversation with my UK people. It's very interesting how it's just sort of arisen on its own power. And when I'm going somewhere, when I'm going on vacation in the UK or somewhere in the US, I will turn to those people and say, hey, what's neat to see in your area? And we have these conversations about that. They're more circumspect, for sure, because you're dealing with that 140 limit. But there are definitely conversations that go on there.